Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining me today. Our panel's name is Girls Power. I hope not to disappoint you. I'm going to focus more on power and less on girls. I'm sorry. It's the same, that's right. Go easy with the tweets. We don't have much time, so I'd like to start with Amy. I don't know if everybody's here. I'm going to just make a quick, I don't have a presentation. It's going to be very simple. I'm going to ask 2 questions each member of the panel, and if you have more questions after that, you're welcome to ask. So I'd like to start with Amy. She's the CEO of Saluna, which is a new website, women-oriented website. And I'd like to ask you, when you first thought of Saluna, what were your initial thoughts? What made you come up with this idea? Did you feel a need or demand for this kind of content?
Well, the basic insight was that women are different than men, which is something obviously we all share. But it was very clear in any other places, and it wasn't that clear on the web. At about 2007, we started to see a very big growth of women-oriented content in the US and in Europe, and we thought it is about time to give women different tools and different ways of consuming content on the web too. So that was the basic insight, that women consume content differently than men in many ways.
Can you give us an example for differences?
There has been many researches about differences between women and men concerning content consuming. I think the basic insight is that men go straight to the place they want to go, and women just go like they surf like this, and then and they want to talk about it, and they want to interact, and they want to share it. And if you build a path of content that uses women inside of consuming, they use it much better and they relate to it much better.
Was it difficult for you to explain to advertisers or VCs wanting to get investments? Was it difficult for you to explain these needs or differences?
Yes, definitely. I think Israel is a much smaller market than US or Europe, and people said we don't have numbers for long tail niche channels. And I think the results of Saluna after only 3 months, which are about hundreds of people every month, 850 blogs that were opened. We have 20,000 people that joined us, liked us on Facebook. I think the results speaks for themselves, and it means that women really need it.
Can you ask about the traffic, users?
Yeah, the traffic is pretty exciting actually. We finished June at about 85 or close to 90,000 people, unique users, which is pretty amazing for a website which is like only 3 months old. And I hope it will just grow and grow.
Okay. So today's conference is dedicated to Twitter and other social networks. And I would like to know, what role do social networks play in Saluna's life?
I just heard outside from somebody that she uses Saluna at Facebook. I think many women think that Saluna only existed on Facebook. They don't even notice that there is an internet site. I think Facebook has become a major player in our traffic work, because many women. Saluna is targeting women 30 and up, which 300,000 of them are on Facebook, and we just we just talked to them on Facebook. And
did you target your campaign only to women?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would like to ask Einat now. You're the founder of the Yazamiyot organization, and could you tell us a little bit about the organization and its goals?
Yeah, maybe worthwhile just mentioning that I'm also an associate for Gemini Internal Fund.
Of course.
Regardless, I've got an entrepreneurial episode myself before joining Gemini, and as I started working as an investment manager, I realized that I hardly get to see any women entrepreneurs. So just found it a bit curious, especially in a country like ours, which is about 40% of the exports rely on high-tech. Why don't we see more women in that space? So what we decided to do is really to start, and when I say we, it's two entrepreneurs together with myself. We decided to start a networking group for women entrepreneurs with the purpose of really just having more awareness to the issue and kind of encouraging more women to become entrepreneurs and thinking of that as a legitimate career path. So.
Can you give us an example for barriers to women entrepreneurs in growing into a startup business that you can elaborate?
Yeah, I think it's quite a lot. I'm not sure it's the right place and time to refer to it, but what I would say is that a lot of it comes from women that are not inclined to think about entrepreneurship. I don't think that most of the barriers are something that is coming from the outside, but really from the inside. So a lot of women just wouldn't think of it as something they would like to do. And although we see more and more women that are graduating from universities with IT-related degrees, and we see more of them as R&D managers, we don't see so much of them crossing the line to entrepreneurship. And I think a lot of it is just being aware of it and kind of thinking of it as something that you can actually be doing.
Okay, so of course at Gemini, you're responsible for identifying investment opportunities in the internet sector. So can you share with us what kind of startups would make a good investment in your opinion, or tell us about the last startups you invested in?
Why are you laughing?
Yeah, sure. Please share.
So actually, I think it would be a nice exercise to look at the investments we made in the past 12 months, and I should start by saying that because I'm being asked a lot. So this is to invest. Okay, we're actively investing. We're actively investing since pretty much the second half of 2009. In general, the ecosystem is more vivid and we see more and more activity. In Gemini specifically, we invested in 5 companies. One of them is a chip company. 2 others are software as a service that are B2B, and another 2 are direct to consumers. Now, what I find an interesting trend is that unlike in the past where Israeli VCs used to focus more on investing in very technology-heavy technology companies, today we see more and more companies that are being founded that are not really the typical typecast that you would see before. So for instance, the 2 investments which we made this year, one of them you already saw the founder, which is Daria Shuali. She's no longer in the crowd, but there you go. So she founded Sense of Fashion, which is an e-commerce website, a marketplace for independent fashion. And we thought, it was a very interesting investment just because, first of all, in that it is a pretty large market. If you were looking at other flavors, shopping, really well. Okay. So if you're looking at other flavors of online shopping websites, there's quite a few who grew up very successfully in a very short period of time. So the Guild Group, there's Von Privé and other private clubs that were very successful growing. So obviously there was no question of whether people or women were buying online. And then the other thing that we saw is that there is a vertical type of websites that are very successful. So there was a place for just a very vertical, specific niche type of a website. There's diapers.com, there's Zappos, which sells shoes, there's Etsy, which sells and makes crafts. So there's also this trend that there was a room for a website for an independent fashion. We also saw there was no leader for that specific space. And that was quite interesting because for whoever is familiar with e-commerce knows that this is really a place where the leader kind of takes it all. So we kind of say, there's still no leader for that space, and Sons of Fashion could potentially become one.
Okay, thank you very much. Gali, your company's focus is a new way of browsing the internet. Can you tell us a little bit about this vision?
Can I talk about my product?
No.
What? Oh, come on. You're the only one that doesn't.
I'm recording. They won't hear you. Your choice.
All right. So, a little bit about Razos. My name is Gali Ross. My partner's name is Rani Raz, and we had to register the company and couldn't really decide on a name. We went with Razos and said, well, we're not going anywhere, so that's going to be a constant. So Razos it is. That was about 2 years ago. We started off with the notion that web consumption has to change. Going to the cloud, putting everything that we have there, it's only a matter of time before the last window standing is going to be our browser. And we figured, well, you know what? Being the last window standing, it's kind of dull. So we started spicing it up. And what we've essentially developed is a marketplace for the browser. So that would make you kind of wonder why you would need that. But I'll take you to a little experience that I just had. I'm coming back from a trip abroad. An unplanned East Coast trip in the United States, which basically went like this. We got in the car, we opened the iPhone, and we started driving. Approximately 2 hours before reaching a destination and or before reaching, lunch time. We started looking up B&Bs or restaurants or whatever it is that we wanted, and from be it Google Maps or be it other applications that we use, just on the go managed to make our trip. This was like a 12-day trip with no planning whatsoever. So this is about mobility, right? And this is about people using the web, the internet on the go. But it's a little more than that. Because if you think about the way you use your iPhones and your smartphones nowadays, what you're actually doing is using applications to consume specific contents from the internet. If it's Twitter, if it's Facebook, if it's Google Maps. And that applicative browsing, that behavior is something that Razos is bringing to the web. The concept of don't just open a window, a browser, and start searching. Let us help you with a bunch of applications that will enable you to be more specific in your consumption, more dedicated, more directed, and more focused. It's all very, very general, but there's a launch coming up and you will all be able to use it.
Okay.
That's in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you. You're also a member, or you take part in the Zamiot organization?
I do.
You do. So, as a member and as an entrepreneur, can you share with us a piece of advice to someone who wants to open her or his own startup?
Well, I think it would take me back to Anat's answer to the former question, what are the barriers that stand before a woman starting a company? Or are there any? And I would actually answer no to that question. Not because I don't think there are any, because I don't think that addressing them is the way to go, not for a female entrepreneur, not for an entrepreneur in general. Basically, and this is something that I always, I can't go as far as saying preach, but the only thing that I really do believe in is what you would call gender ignorance. So be gender ignorant towards people you interact with, well, unless it's social, in that case, no one gender ignorant may lead to inconveniences. But basically, be gender ignorant towards yourself and towards others, and just go with it.
Okay, thank you very much for this. Yael, well, first, congratulations for making the second place in education in the App Store. Let me start by asking you, do men and women use Waze equally? I know it's kind of a nagging question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah, it's a well-thought question. No, actually, we have a vast majority of men in using Waze, to the point of 90%. Exactly. But yes, I think that early adopters in general tend to be men. Gaming tend to be men, and then women get in at the sort of a later stage and make everything more fun, which is the stage that we're at right now. For example, in Israel, you can see the ratio changing very quickly just because the application is really mainstream.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about Waze in general. Community plays a big role in Waze's success. How do you build a large community, and how do you keep it engaged?
Does anyone ever know Waze here? Anyone? Waze in Israel is at a very different stage than it is in the US, and we're employing completely different mechanics in each of these territories, not just the US, abroad in general. So what you see in the US is very different in terms of community engagement than what you would see if you would play with the application abroad. And abroad we're using extensive gaming and social aspects to get people more engaged in the application and to accelerate things like growth, building of the map, and
like badges and points.
It's sort of similar to badges, but it's more based on points and community ranks and things like that.
So it's not very popular in Israel, or is it more?
It's just less needed in Israel. People use it a little bit, but I don't know how much people know here about Waze, but Waze is 100% user generated from both the traffic reports, the road reports, and even the map itself that was completely built by users, by community members, actually paving each and every road in Israel. The same process almost happens in the US and abroad. So this acceleration takes a lot of building, and this is what we have to get the users engaged in. The primary thing we used in the US and abroad is a game like Pac-Man, and someone mentioned here a game that someone started which uses Pac-Man, but that was the main gaming engine. And then on top of that, there's been a lot of very, very cool and fun stuff. People get really engaged in playing and building. We're growing very fast now. Just made it to the #1 place in the navigation app store. We're nearly 1 million users pretty soon.
One minute, about 1.5 minutes to anybody wants to ask a question? No? Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you very much for you.